Hello there, welcome back to my tutorials, and today we're going to be making Isomalt eyes. So this is everything that you're going to need, and I'll also put it on the list below. So the first thing we're going to do is get our Isomalt ready, and I'll show you the tools. Now, there's all sorts of ways to do eyes. You could just do them with balls of paste, but I just wanted to show you with some Isomalt. I'm going to be using some of the Squire's Kitchen. You've seen semi Isomalt. I just don't have any left at the moment, so that's another type I'd recommend as well. I also like using the Saracino, but you've got to cook it yourself. So if you want some ready tempered, pre-cooked, the semi Isomalt or the Squire's Kitchen are great to use. You can also use little silicone cupcake cases to do your melting in. I've just got a really sweet little pot, and I like this pot because you can put a tool in there. Just grab a scissors. You can pop a scissors into there if you don't want to put your hands too near it, which is a great way of making you feel a bit more safe, really. So I'm just going to pop this into the microwave on small increments just to let it get started. Now, all the different Isomalts have different instructions on the back, so make sure you follow the instructions. But if you go with 20 to 30-second increments, you can't go wrong. You can see I've also got a pair of gloves on, along with a pair of cotton gloves underneath as well. Now, I know you see some people don't use them, but I'm so accident prone, it's just sensible to use them, isn't it, really? I'm going to show you in the various stages because I want to see what happens. Now, at the moment, all that's happened is that Isomalt has dropped in height, so it's half the height that it was, and I can see that it started melting around the bottom. So it goes back in. Now, again, I'm sticking with the 20 seconds for this lot as well, but you could do 30 because that is the recommended. And you just want to melt it until it's just sort of slightly bubbling. I'll show you what it looks like now. Although there's bubbling, as you can see, it's not actually ready. So you can give it a little move around if you like, because it helps the undissolved nibs to actually melt that bit faster. So let's have a look. Now, what I find is it does end up bubbling, okay? So I wanted to show you what happens when it looks like it's bubbling. You do have to let that bubbling set. You don't want to tap it. You don't want to try and stir it. It'll just settle all on its own. Too much wiggling around and it just causes issues. And if you stir it, you can add more bubbles into it as well. But if you use the cupcake case, you can use the sides to pour. Now, the heat, this is a really thick jug actually. It's a lot thicker than it looks. Okay, so while that's just settling a bit longer, these are eye transfers that actually came, I bought them when I bought this set. And one side is shiny and one side isn't. And it's the side that isn't shiny. I'm going to take one glove off actually. The side that isn't shiny is the side that goes face down. The back is the side that you peel away. So let me see if I can show you that. So that's the actual side that goes face down. And you can see there's a shine on there and that needs to be peeled away. So before you start, if you're prone to accident, make sure it's the right way up so you can just turn it over. You do it whichever way you feel comfortable, really. I've got a little blowtorch here. Now, I like a blowtorch that's got the method of locking the blowtorch into position. So by that, I mean it's locked. I can't switch it on. There we are, it's on, and I can lock it into position and switch it back off, or I can just use it with a single click. But I prefer to lock it on or off so that there's no accidents that can happen. And you just fill those the way that you would fill a lighter. Can you see there's still a couple of bubbles, but it's not bad, is it? So it wants to be nice and clear as well. Now, I tend to give this a spray when I'm done. I'm going to move that blowtorch far away out of the way of this. So with a spray shine or a shell and shine, you can use, where is it? The PME spray glaze as well. You do have to spray with something, and you can also see I've got a silicone mat as well because it is hot and you want to protect any surface that you're working on. But you do need to seal it in. Now, we're in Wales. All Isomalt and pulled sugar in Wales goes very, very damp very quickly. So you do need to spray 360 degrees of your piece. So I must confess, I spray the back of my eyes first, then I turn them over and I spray the front. But that's only because I don't want them to get damaged in the meantime. So I'm just going to pour to roughly halfway. This is where you can see how appalling I am at the pouring. Always have been. There we go. And I can't even get halfway, as you can see. And I tend to wait a second or so for the Isomalt to settle, because as I mentioned, it's crazy hot. And you want to let it sit onto the top. And into that one as well. And I'm going to change to the glove. I'm not trying to bury it. I'm just trying to make sure that it's attached everywhere. It's also a good time to get it in the middle. So you've just got to leave that for a few minutes, because you want to get that cold enough that you can peel those away. So if you bear with me, and then when we'll come back, we'll be able to peel it off. Okay, I can't resist showing you how to colour it white as well. So I've popped that back in the microwave briefly, and you just need some white gel colour and a toothpick. Now you can use a really long toothpick if you like. It doesn't need a huge amount. Now what you will be aware of is sometimes when you put gel colours into Isomalt, when it's hot, it sizzles a bit. So you can see this is not actually that hot. Never double dip as well. Right, there we go. It's a slight opaque colour you're aiming for. You're not aiming for glow in the dark white. I think I want it a bit stronger, so I know it's not going to fizz up, because it didn't fizz up last time, so I'm safe enough not using my glove. And of course I'm not going anywhere near the Isomalt with my hand. Right, I'm trying to stir it side to side, figure eight, not really trying to get any air in those Isomalt. I'm also using my cocktail stick to pop any bubbles that have appeared. I'll put all of this in the equipment list as well. So I'm going to see now if I can pick this out. Just depends if I was really bad and caught the edges. No, look at that, did it beautifully. That's a change. Now, these already come cut, so you don't actually have to cut them. The cutting, is done for you. That can shows how easily it releases from the mould. That's why the mould is so highly shiny. That's why it releases easily. So now we'll pop this in. So I'm just going to pour it. I can see a couple of bubbles. I really am the world's worst pourer. Let's see if we can do a better job this time. I am the one who puts too much jam in cakes or too much buttercreams. That's why I have to weigh them out. There we are. So you're going to leave those set now until it's completely cold. So let's watch how quickly this sets. Can you see it's already sticking? And you can shape it now. So it really does set quite quickly, but this is still warm to the touch, okay? So I'm not touching it with my fingers, even though I know I can. I've got slightly asbestos hands anyway, but that's why you wear gloves, okay? Right, so I'll set these to one side. I don't want to torch them when they're in the silicone, even though you could, I suppose, but I like to sort of be kind to my molds and things, so I'll torch them when they're out. But to be honest, you don't even need to torch the back. You can just spray it straight with silicone glaze, but I don't want to get any glaze on my nice mold, so I'm going to leave this go completely cold somewhere out of the way, and we'll come back and finish it off. Right, what I've actually done, I have cling filmed the side of my mold because I want to give it a quick spray. You can give it a torch, but you've got to let it cool down again. So I'm not too worried about the back. And the reason I need to give it a spray is because I need, as I mentioned, I needed to protect the outside. So I'm just going to get a baby wipe and wipe around the outside of my mold. Because we all know what that glaze is like, don't we? But just be careful not to touch your eyes. And I think they're probably cold enough to lift out now as well. I've just got to wait for that glaze to set. Now you can also spray it 2 or 3 times just to make sure. So if it's rainy weather, I would probably err on the side of caution, really. And you don't want to overspray too quickly because otherwise it's just going to cause problems, isn't it? So let's give it another coat. And the mat will still need to be washed carefully as well. But did you know if you have problems getting the spray glaze off, some dipping solution will get it off, or some alcohol. There we go. Just getting the excess off, because I don't want to turn it out until that's dry, because otherwise it'll just go sticky and the back will look ugly. So we're just going to let that set a second. Right, so let's turn these eyes out now. Watch how easily they fall out as well. Hang on, there's one. Now you can see they're slightly cloudy. That's normal, don't panic. What we need to do is to torch them. So I'm going to switch the torch on so it stays on. You're not torching them so that they go completely soggy. You're torching them just to bring the shine back and to get rid of the bubbles. Hopefully we haven't got too many today. Otherwise we might do them again. Ah, that's better. Can you see? It's bringing the shine out a bit. There we are. I might have to make them slightly runnier than planned, but it just means I had a few bubbles going on. There we go. It's great. Now, I'm just checking. They look clear all the way around. Right, so let's let those set. And then once I know they've gone cold, I can spray them with the spray glaze. I'm also, when they're set, I'll transfer them onto these as well, just to make it easier to peel off. But it does come off the silicone really easily as well. So you could slide a tray underneath your mat. But they look great already, don't they? Look at that. Now, I paint my own eyes as well, so I hand paint or use food colouring pens onto some icing sheets, so you can also draw your own as well. It doesn't work with wafer paper, it needs to be the icing sheets. So I hope you found that useful. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments below, and I would absolutely love if you could like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out all my other tutorials too. But in the meantime, stay safe, happy caking, and I will see you soon.